Hi, I'm Keurig Ashley, author of the international best-selling book, How Would Love Respond, and the creator and founder of Action Heroes Incorporated. Now, what we're going to talk about on today's vlog is something that I get asked about consistently. It's probably one of those most consistent challenges that people have, and that is that you set out on a path to go achieve a new goal, or you want to get some new results in your life, or maybe there's some stuff that you want to stop doing, like maybe you want to quit smoking, or you want to lose some weight, or whatever that is. But anyways, you start on this journey towards this new life, these new results that you want, and you start doing what you're supposed to be doing for a while, and then you start to find yourself tapering off from doing those things until pretty soon you just don't do them anymore, and then it becomes, well, one of those other things that winds up in the scrap heap on the floor that just doesn't get done, or the change doesn't happen. Have you ever had that experience for yourself? I mean, this is quite common, like with New Year's resolutions. People go, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm going to start exercising more, things like that. Like I said, you get going, you start doing the things that you said you're going to do, and then it just kind of slows down and you're not doing it anymore, and then pretty soon you fall off track. Right, so this vlog is going to be very beneficial for pretty much, well, everybody, including yourself, because this is a very common experience with people, and I know I've experienced it myself before. And being one of the leading peak performance coaches on the planet, this is one of those things that I worked on, well, not really for everybody else. I worked on it more for myself first, because it was such a common experience, and then it's one of those things that I get asked about from my clients regularly, and once we work them through this process, well, the results that they produce, it's mind-blowing. I mean, even as their coach, I'm in awe with what a human being can produce and what I get to witness people producing. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, so maybe this will clear it up for you and you get some ideas about it. Then we're going to work on the solution of how do we change this. Sounds great, right? So let's say that this is the life that you're living right now, and we start off and we say, well, this is the new trajectory that I want my life to go on. So, I want to start producing more consistent, better results. Make sense? And so, we set out on it and we start taking the action, and then all of a sudden you find, we're going up this way, and you find yourself kind of falling off track and going back to the original way of operating. So, like if that's going to be exercising regularly, you set out at the beginning of the year and you're hitting the gym, or you're doing your walking or running or whatever you said you're going to do. Maybe it's Zumba. And I don't know, that just was funny to me. But the thing is that, and then all of a sudden you fall off track and you kind of go back to doing, well, or not doing just basically your old way of doing things, right? So we get down to here. Well, what's happening is that what most people just don't really understand is that this old line that we live on, or used to live on, it has a thing called gravity, right? And so the gravity kind of pulls us back here. And being a coach, one of my jobs with my clients is that I nudge them back on the line so they can't get too far away from this. And then they fall off a little bit, and I nudge them back on the line and really hold them accountable to staying on this new journey until pretty soon, we get far enough away from the old way of doing things that the gravitational pull is not as strong as it used to be, and then pretty soon this is our new journey. And this is where you want to be, because, well, that's where, really consistent growth and achievement is. And this is amazing. I mean, what you can produce on this new trajectory, it's like a whole new life. And you look at this over like 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, a decade, it's massive. And so the key is that how do we get us back on track, right? So we figured out how to fall off track. And when I say gravity, by the way, what that gravity is, well, the gravity is just old conditioned patterns and habits that we have. And that's a gravity because it's so ingrained in us that it keeps pulling us back to that old way of being, because that's our habit of doing that, right? So the key is that we have to establish this new way of being as our new operating system, our new habits, or our new group of habits, until pretty soon it's so habitual that that's just who you are. That's when success becomes easy, because success is easy when you make it your habit. Does that make sense? So, as an example, I exercise regularly, and I have been for probably 35 years, maybe more than that. I have to do the math. But after being that consistent with it, well, I don't have to talk myself into it. I don't have to get myself worked up. I don't have to, give myself the little rah-rah motivational speech. It's so habitual that I just go do it. Right? Make sense? So that's easy that way. So imagine if the things that you wanted to do in your life to produce the results that you want, well, if those were your habit, like I said, just imagine how easy it would be to produce dramatic new results in your life. Make sense? So the question then is, how do we break this gravitational pull and do this? Well, there's going to be a couple different steps here. Some of them that you can do one of them and put that into action. You can do a combination of a bunch of what I'm going to teach you, put those into action. You can do all of them. They all work, right? So the first thing is that, well, you have to get yourself held accountable is the most basic of all of it. And everything I'm going to talk about is really about being held accountable, because when we're our own boss, right, we're the only person that we have to check in with, well, it's too easy to let yourself off the hook. You know that, right? So I see this with people who start their own business. They think, well, I'm my own boss now. Well, I can go watch TV whenever I want to. Well, that's probably not accurate if you want to be successful in business. As a business person, you'll figure out that you might even do more hours at times than an employee would do. It'd probably be illegal to keep an employee doing the hours that you do when you do your own business. I'm not saying you should do that all the time. I'm just saying there's times, because success is not always convenient, is it? Right? So how do we get ourselves to be accountable is the answer. Because once we're accountable, see, we'll get nudged back on the line, we'll get nudged back on the line, we'll get nudged back on the line, until pretty soon the wobble becomes less and less, and then pretty soon that's just your new habit. Well, one of the first things I'll suggest, and this is not an advertisement by any means, it's not even a promotion. What it is, I'd recommend that you get yourself a coach, a real coach. Somebody that holds you accountable, that they're not your buddy, right? Because your buddy, by the way, it's too easy to let you off your hook and say, don't worry about it, let's go grab a beer or something. Well, that's not going to help you, and it is going to hurt you. What you want is somebody that holds you to the higher standard, and that's what I do with my clients, and I hold my job very, very high regard, because they came to me wanting to make changes and different results in their life. I'm going to hold them to that, right? So, and by the way, I have coaches. See, I don't recommend that people get coaches, but I don't get coaching. That doesn't even make any sense. Of course I have coaches. I get people that hold me accountable. So I have different coaches for different areas of my life, or different areas of business, or whatever that is, and I get those people to hold me accountable. Because what happens is, and by the way, my beautiful wife Erin, she's also one of my most powerful coaches, because we also do the business together, and she'll say, hey Keurig, I need some vlog videos out of you. I need some video blogs from you. I need 3 of them shot this week. I need those done, because it's Erin who puts them onto the website, and she writes up the synopsis for it, and she creates the slides and all that stuff. So I'm held accountable, so I have to get those done. Not that I don't want to produce them for you, I do. That's not what we're talking about. It's having somebody that holds you accountable. Yet I myself have coaches, and I've spent tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get people to not only teach me strategy to be better, but also hold me accountable to do it. And that's one of the most valuable things that you should look for in your coach, that it is somebody who holds you accountable so that you can't get off track. Because like I said, if you're going to do it yourself, it's too easy to be easy on yourself and let yourself off track. And it might be nice to be easy on yourself, but that's not going to help you. And I'm not saying being hard on yourself, I'm saying hold yourself accountable, right? One of the other ways to hold yourself accountable is to do what I call make public declarations, right? So that means tell people that will hold you accountable, that what you're going to do, what your goal is, what's the actions you're going to take, and let them know that. Not just once, but let them know that consistently. Now, there's, like for instance, from the stage, because I do so many speaking engagements around the world and so many seminars and workshops, is I let audiences know what my new goals are and what I'm going to do for myself and what I'm going to produce. And by the way, I also do this with my clients. I tell them what I'm going to do, and don't be surprised that they do hold you accountable, because they will ask you about it. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have to be a person who's always on stage like I am to do that, because we all have a circle of influence around us of people that you can let know what you're going to do, and you can even say to them, I want you to hold me accountable to this. Now, by the way, if you give those people permission, then when they say something to you, you need to act on it and not justify why you haven't done it or come up with excuses, because as you know, well, excuses and justification is below the line. You need to take responsibility and get yourself above the line, and the way that you're going to do that is when they hold you accountable, you got to go, you're right, I asked you to hold me accountable, I'm going to go do it. Because the truth is that if you justify it, or you come up with the excuses, or you defend your position, and as Wayne Dyer used to say to me, he said, hey Keurig, if you want to keep your limitations in life, you'll keep defending them. And he was absolutely correct. So if you keep doing that, nobody's going to want to hold you accountable, because they're going to see that, well, you're not responding to it, and they're going to stop doing it. So again, as you're dismantling your own system to help you get what you want in life. Does it make sense? So get these people. Now, by the way, some of these people are going to hold you accountable in different ways. Well, as an example, some people are going to pay out on you and say, oh, you're not going to do it, there's no way. Well, I use that to feed off of that, to go, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to show you I am going to do that. See, there's me being accountable again, and there's me using that to my advantage to get me what I want in life, which is, well, the better results and the growth. Make sense? Other people are going to support you. They're going to say, hey, good for you, awesome, fantastic, and pat you on the back. Use both of those people to your advantage, and tell both of them. Because those naysayers, they're probably the ones who are going to say the most to you. Well, if you use it, that's getting yourself accountable. Does it make sense? Very powerful. And I use the public declaration system a lot with people. You know, like when I said I'm going to write this book called How Would Love Respond, and I'm going to write an international bestseller. And the reason I said that is, well, what's the point of writing a book if nobody's read it? I wanted to see what it feels like to be an international bestseller, and that's what I am these days, because How Would Love Respond has had such a massive success, and it's been so transformational for people's lives. It just keeps expanding. Well, I wouldn't have that experience if I didn't make those public declarations, because people did. They emailed me and they got on Facebook and, hey, Mr. Success Coach, where's that book you said was coming out? Now remember, if you watch other videos, I said I thought the book was going to take me 3 or 4 months to write. Well, it took me 4 years to get the book out. 4 years. So as you see, I needed to be held accountable, because, man, 4 years to keep yourself on track, it's easy to give up. There's so many opportunities for you to let go of what you're doing and kind of slip back to your old way. But guess what? In my experience, there would be no book if I didn't stay on track And so yes, I use the public declaration system to get me to hold myself accountable. And like I said, I also had coaches that hold me accountable. One of the other ways is that on my blog page, I'll put a PDF of what I call my action tracker sheet. And this is so easy to use, and it's one of the things I use with my private clients. It's a game changer. Very simple. You'll notice that on one side of it there's these longer boxes in it, and in that you're going to write what are those consistent actions that you want to take, right, every day, and you're going to write those in there. So it might be like read your goals in the morning, and it might be exercise today, whatever those consistent things are that you want to do. Then you'll notice that there's 31 boxes along the page. Well, those obviously represent, well, days of the month, right? And so with me, what I do is I get an X for the days that I do the action, and I get a 0 for the times that I don't do the action. Now, the magic and the power behind this action tracker sheet that's going to be available for you on the blog page is a download, is that you put this in a public place. Now, I'm not talking about like out on the street. I'm talking about in your house, in your office, but somewhere where other people will see it. People to hold you accountable, right? And so the reason that's so valuable is because people look at the sheet and they'll look at the date that you wrote on there when you're going to start this, this process for this month, right? And all they can do is count the days and they go, wait a minute, you started on the 1st, it's the 15th, why do you only have 5 days filled out? See, they hold you accountable. And so, by the way, 0 doesn't mean failure, it just means you didn't take the action that day. But see, at the end of the month, the great thing about this action tracker is that you can see why you're closer to achieving your goal or why you're not, according to how many X's you have compared to how many zeros that you have. Right now, you don't have to use X's and zeros. Some people put stars and they do other things. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. It's about have one symbol for yes, I took the action, one symbol for no, I didn't take the action. So these are some very simple steps to get you on track and keep you on track. The key to the whole message, though, is get yourself held accountable. Because when you do, it's a game changer with the results that you're going to produce. So I hope this was really valuable to you. Make sure that you go on the blog page and you download the PDF for the action tracker. And by the way, you should be doing that every month. Print up another one. And you can even do stats on how much action did I take last month to how much did I take this month. And you'll see your results will start to amplify with the more actions that you took compared to how many zeros you got. Make sense? And the power of it is it really gets you held accountable. So I hope this was of great value to you. Please write comments below the videos. I love hearing from you. And if there's any questions or any things that you need help with, also write those in the comment sections because I'll do some vlogs for you. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until I do, have a most outstanding day.